What if I told you the person holding the key to saving your life is someone you pay to be invisible? This is not just a story about losing fortune. It's about finding a soul in the darkest hour. Stay until the end, because this might just change who you see in the mirror tomorrow. And if this journey resonates with you, do us a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. It's the best way to ensure you don't miss stories that remind you of the power of the human spirit. Now, let's begin. The first red warning flashed on Matteo Thorne's monitor at 9:07 p.m. It was a tiny, blinking pixel in the corner of a screen filled with financial projections for the Atlas contract. He ignored it. The second alert, a pop-up window declaring a system anomaly, he closed with an irritated flick of his wrist. By the third, a cascade of error messages began to scroll upwards like a digital tsunami. His heart dropped into his stomach. "No," he whispered, his fingers suddenly clumsy on the keyboard. "No, no, no, no. This couldn't be happening. Not tonight, not with the signing ceremony for the $500 million Atlas deal set for 9 a.m. His 42nd floor office, with its panoramic view of a glittering, indifferent city, felt like a glass coffin. He was the founder, the visionary, the billionaire CEO of Apex Dynamics, and right now he was a spectator to its murder. He grabbed his phone, his thumb slipping on the screen. He called his head of IT voicemail. He called his security chief. No answer. The entire executive team was home, asleep, blissfully unaware that the empire was crumbling. Matteo watched, paralyzed, as client databases evaporated. Proprietary code dissolved into gibberish. Financial records vanished, leaving behind blank, mocking fields. A cold, profound loneliness seeped into his bones. He had built this alone. He would die with it alone. The squeak of rubber wheels on polished concrete cut through the silence. Matteo's head snapped up. A woman stood in his doorway, her hand on a cleaning cart filled with sprays and rags. She wore a standard issue, gray uniform, her dark hair tied back. Her eyes, wide and wary, flicked from his ashen face to the apocalyptic light show on his wall of screens. I am so sorry, sir," she said, her voice soft, laced with a melodic accent. "The schedule said this office was empty. I can come back." Matteo let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. "Empty. Yeah, that's one word for it. Come in. You're not interrupting anything except a funeral." She hesitated, but something in his broken posture kept her from leaving. She took a tentative step inside, her eyes scanning the frantic flashing monitors. "This is a Severus-level intrusion," she murmured, almost to herself. Matteo froze. "A what?" She pointed at a secondary screen where lines of corrupted code scrolled. "See that repetitive sequence? That's not a random crash. That's a signature. Someone is systematically exfiltrating and then scorching your data. They're not just stealing. They're making sure you can't recover." The technical language, spoken so calmly from this unexpected source, was more shocking than the attack itself. "How in God's name do you know that?" Matteo demanded, standing up, his desperation sharpening into a needlepoint of focus. She met his gaze, and for the first time he saw not a cleaner, but a profound, weary intelligence. "Because 5 years ago," she said quietly, "I designed protocols to stop attacks like this. My name is Amelia." 1,000 questions erupted in his mind, but only one mattered. The sheer mad improbability of it crashed against the utter ruin before him. His experts were gone, his firewalls were ash. He had nothing left to trust but a gut feeling screaming at him from the void. "Amelia," he said, her name feeling strange on his tongue. "Can you stop it? Can you help me?" She studied him for a long moment, then looked back at the screens, her jaw tightening. "The backup servers. Are they on a physically separate network?" "Yes," air-gapped. "In the sub-basement vault." A spark, the first he'd seen all night, ignited in her eyes. "Then there's a thread of hope. But I will need full, unimpeded access. No oversight, no questions while I work." It was insanity. Handing over the keys to his kingdom to a stranger in a janitor's uniform. Matteo walked to his desk, opened a drawer, and pulled out a single black key card. He held it out to her. "This unlocks every system, every door in this building. Don't make me regret this." She took the card, her fingers brushing his. They were cold. "When this is over," she said, her voice low and steady, "remember who was in this room with you. Before we go further into this incredible night, I need to ask you a personal question. When was the last time you truly underestimated someone?" Think about it as we continue. And if you're finding value in this story, please show some love in the comments with the word miracle. It lets us know we're on this journey together. Now, back to the vault. The sub-basement was a cathedral of cold, humming machinery. Amelia Rosario moved through the forest of server racks like a ghost who knew every tombstone. Mateo followed, carrying 2 coffees that grew cold in his hands. He watched as she sat at a terminal, inserted his MasterCard, and her entire demeanor changed. The hesitant cleaner was gone. In her place was a conductor, a general. Her fingers flew across the keyboard with a speed and certainty that left no doubt. She belonged here. Barra's lines of code reflected in her glasses. Mateo couldn't stay silent. You said you designed protocols. Who were you? Her fingers didn't stop. Amelia Rosario, lead threat analyst for Cyber Sentinel Silicon Valley. We protected Fortune 50 companies. A shadow passed over her face. Then my mother got sick, early onset dementia. I was the only family, so I came home, took a job to pay the bills while I cared for her. The tech world, it has the memory of a goldfish. A 2-year gap is a lifetime. Overqualified is just a nice way of saying damaged goods. So I cleaned, and I listened, and I saw every password left on a sticky note, every laptop left unlocked on a desk. I saw the holes in the castle walls while I emptied the trash. Her words were a punch to Mateo's gut. How many Amelias had he walked past in his own company? How many minds had he dismissed because of a title, a uniform? I'm sorry, he said, the words feeling utterly inadequate. Don't be, she said, her focus never wavering from the screen. Just be different when we get out of here, if we get out of here. Hours bled together. Mateo watched, mesmerized, as she fought a digital war on a dozen fronts. She rebuilt corrupted directories, isolated malicious code, and began the painstaking process of pulling data from the untouched backup drives. At one point, she let out a frustrated growl. What is it? Mateo asked, his nerves frayed. They planted a logic bomb in the financial server, a nasty one. It's set to detonate and corrupt the backups at 5 a.m. if the primary system is restored. She ran a hand through her hair. They weren't just robbing you, Mateo. They were ensuring you never got back up. Can you disarm it? I have to. She looked at him, and for the first time, he saw a flicker of fear beneath the focus. But I need you to be quiet. I need to think. He fell silent, becoming a shadow. At 4:52 a.m., with 8 minutes to spare, Amelia typed a final decisive command and slammed the enter key. The screen flashed, then settled into a steady, calm stream of data. The ominous countdown timer that had appeared in the corner vanished. She leaned back in the chair, her body going limp. It's done. The bomb is defused. Core systems are restored. The data is... It's coming home. Mateo stared at the screen, at the green restoration in progress status bar steadily filling. A tremor started in his hands, then moved up his arms, a seismic release of tension he'd been holding for 7 hours. He looked at Amelia, her face pale with exhaustion in the glow of the monitors. You did it, he breathed. My God, you actually did it. We did it, she corrected softly, closing her eyes. You trusted me. That was the first step. When the Apex Dynamics employees began trickling in at 7 a.m., they found a scene that defied logic. Their famously reserved, impeccably dressed CEO was in the sub-basement server room, wearing a rumpled shirt, laughing with a crying woman in a janitor's uniform. And, on the master status board, instead of the expected red, was a brilliant, unwavering green. This is where most stories would end. A miracle, a thank you, a hefty check. But the real story, the one that tests a person's core, was just beginning. And friends, this is the part that will make you question everything. If you're still with me, if your heart is beating a little faster, do me a solid, smash that like button. It tells YouTube this story matters. Now, let's see what daylight brings. At the 9 a.m. executive meeting, Mateo stood at the head of the table. Amelia, now in fresh scrubs, but still in her gray uniform, stood beside him. The air was thick with confusion and stale coffee. Team, this is Amelia Rosario, Mateo announced, his voice ringing with a new, unshakable authority. Last night, we suffered a coordinated cyber attack designed to destroy Apex. Amelia single-handedly stopped it and saved the Atlas deal. And this company. Effective immediately, she is our new chief of cybersecurity. The silence was shattered by the sound of a chair scraping back. Marcus Boone, Mateo's CTO and right-hand man for a decade, stood up, his face a mask of contempt. Mateo, this is absurd. You're putting our entire digital infrastructure in the hands of a A cleaner? Based on one night? This is emotional, reckless leadership. Matteo didn't flinch. He locked eyes with Marcus. It's clear, decisive leadership, Marcus. She saw what you didn't. She fought a battle you weren't even awake for. The discussion is closed. The war in the boardroom was over, but a colder, quieter war had just begun. Amelia was given an office, a team, and a mandate: make Apex unbreakable. She worked with a fierce, silent intensity, but within weeks she found anomalies, tiny, ghostly footprints in the system logs. Someone with high-level access was still poking around, looking for new weaknesses. BBR, she brought her findings to Matteo. It's not over. The attack came from inside. They still have a key. Matteo's blood ran cold. Who? I don't have proof, yet. But the access patterns, they point to someone who knows our old architecture intimately, someone who was here before the new security went online. A sickening suspicion began to coil in Matteo's gut. He thought of Marcus's furious personal reaction. The vehemence hadn't been about company security, it had been about pride, about being replaced. Amelia laid a trap. She created a fake server layer, a digital honeypot filled with false blueprints for a next-gen AI project. She then monitored it relentlessly. Late one night, an alert pinged on her phone. Someone had taken the bait. The access credentials were masked, but the digital path led back to a terminal in Marcus Boone's private lab. She called Matteo, her voice tense. It's him. He's the source, and he's not working alone. The data is being routed to a shell company that traces back to Olympus Group. Olympus, their most vicious rival. Matteo felt the betrayal like a physical blow. Marcus wasn't just jealous, he was a sellout. Confrontation was inevitable. They planned it for after hours. Amelia would be at her desk, the fake files open. Matteo would wait, hidden. But as Amelia walked to her car that evening, a glint of silver under her bumper caught her eye. A magnetic GPS tracker. The message was clear: we are watching you. You are not safe. She didn't panic. She walked back inside, tracker in hand, and showed Matteo. His face hardened into granite. That's it. We're calling the police. This is beyond corporate espionage. No, Amelia insisted, her eyes blazing. If we involve the authorities now, the whole network goes dark. We need him to make a move. We need proof that connects him directly to Olympus. Tonight. Matteo saw the fear in her eyes, but beneath it, a steel he now knew was unbreakable. He nodded. Then we finish it. We're at the climax. The truth is seconds away from exploding. Before it does, I need to speak directly to you. Stories like this only exist because of viewers like you. If you believe in second chances, in hidden heroes, comment second chance below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? You're part of this community now. Let's uncover the truth. The office was silent, a stage set for betrayal. Amelia sat at her computer, the glow of the fake AI files illuminating her determined face. Matteo was a shadow in his adjoining office. The door cracked, watching. At 11:45 p.m., the hallway camera feeds flickered and died for exactly 12 seconds. A professional move, then footsteps. Confident, unhurried. Marcus Boone walked into Amelia's office, pretending surprise. Amelia, burning the midnight oil again? Such dedication. His voice was slick, but his eyes were fixed on her screen. Just finishing up, Marcus. Couldn't sleep. Mind if I... He gestured towards her computer, already leaning over. I heard you were working on something groundbreaking for the Atlas follow-up. His fingers inched toward the keyboard. I mind, Amelia said sharply, swiveling to face him. Those are restricted files. Restricted? Marcus smirked, the facade dropping. From me? I built the foundation you're playing on. Cleaner. Matteo stepped from the shadows, turning on the main lights. She's not playing, Marcus. She's been cleaning up your mess. Marcus froze, his hand hovering over the keyboard. A tremor of panic flashed across his face before it settled into a sneer. Matteo, I should have known. The savior and his pet project. Why, Marcus? Matteo's voice was raw with pain. We built this together. You built it, Marcus exploded, his composure shattering. I wrote the code, I managed the teams, and you got the glory, the billions. Olympus offered me a seat at the table, not a spot in your shadow. A $3 million signing bonus just to open a back door. What would you have done? I would have remembered who I was, Matteo shouted back. Easy to say from your penthouse, Marcus spat. He looked at Amelia with pure venom. And you had to be the hero. Did you find my little gift under your car? This could have been clean. Now it's messy. He lunged, not for Amelia, but for the server tower under her desk, pulling a small black device from his pocket, a data degausser. Amelia kicked her chair back, blocking him. Matteo moved in, grabbing Marcus's arm. A brief, desperate struggle ensued, knocking over monitors, sending keyboards clattering to the floor. Security, alerted by the noise, came running. Marcus, disheveled and panting, was subdued. The evidence was irrefutable. The digital logs from Amelia's honeypot, the financial trails to Olympus, his confession caught on the audio recorder Matteo had running. The police took Marcus away, his head bowed, the fight gone. In the wreckage of the office, Matteo and Amelia stood amid the shattered glass and spilled cables. The corporate battle was won, but a human one was just beginning. "We go public," Matteo said, his voice hollow. "With everything." Amelia simply nodded. "The truth, Matteo. It's the only foundation that doesn't crack." The press conference was a spectacle, but Matteo, with Amelia beside him, didn't spin. He told the story of his arrogance, his blindness, the attack, the janitor, the betrayal. He laid his company's wounds bare, and the world didn't look away in disgust, it leaned in with respect. Integrity, it turned out, was the most valuable currency. The Atlas deal was signed. New partners flocked to Apex, a company brave enough to tell the truth. Months later, Matteo brought Amelia to the sub-basement. It was no longer a cold vault. It was the Amelia Resilience Lab, a state-of-the-art research center. Her name was on the wall. "Amelia," he began, his voice thick, "you saved my company. But more than that, you saved me. From being a man so obsessed with building towers that he forgot about the people inside them." He got down on one knee, pulling a small box from his pocket.
"I don't want to just work beside you. I want to build a life with you, a real one. Will you marry me?"
Amelia looked at him, at the lab, at the journey etched in both their faces. Tears welled in her eyes, but she was smiling. "You finally see me, Matteo Thorne. Yes. 1,000 times yes." Their wedding was small, filled with the few people who saw them when they were invisible to the world. They danced, not in a billionaire's ballroom, but in a modest hall, holding each other like the miracle they both were. So, what's the takeaway? Look around you. The person who might change your life isn't always in the corner office. They might be holding a mop, serving your coffee, driving your bus. Every person has a story, a battle, a hidden genius. Your only job is to be kind enough to ask and humble enough to listen. Matteo learned that almost too late. Don't let that be you. If this story moved you, if it made you think, do something. Look up. See someone. And then come back here, subscribe, because we have more stories like this about real, raw humanity. Leave a comment telling me who you're going to truly see tomorrow. And of course, like this video. It tells the algorithm to spread this message far and wide. Thank you for watching. Until next time, keep your heart open. You never know when your miracle will walk in.